Hi, my name is Eugene Collins. I'm the president of the Baton Rouge branch of the NAACP. Today, we'll hear from Donicia Molly as well as Ms. Ashley Greene House and their attorneys representing Mr. Aaron Bowman. We'll also hear from George Carlos Moore, president of the National Bar Association. As well, we'll hear from former state trooper Carl Cavalier. In addition, we'll hear from the family of Mr. Ronald Greene. Today, the question I present is a simple one. What's the purpose of this administration to all the texts? What's the response of the administration to all the texts that have now been leaked? What's the correlation of some public officials seemingly getting permission on the elements surrounding the investigation into the murder of Mr. Ronald Greene? On May 10th, 2019, Ronald Greene was murdered. Police said that Mr. Ronald Greene died after a high-speed chase that started in Wichita Parish and ended with a crash in Union Parish. These troopers initially lied and cited the cause of death as a car crash. Governor, what we've heard from the AP on your text messages and what we've now seen from WBRZ presented on some of the text messages of your staff members and political allies, we now have to question your complicity without further explanation. Our request, yet simple again, we ask that you follow the lead of Colonel Lamar Davis and ask for a third party to review your administration as well. Now I have the distinct pleasure of introducing Ms. Donicia Molly and Ms. Ashley Greenhouse.
Hi, good morning. Thanks to the NAACP and family of Ronald Greene for having me on as attorney for Aaron Bowman and supporter and advocate also of Ronald Greene. As you are aware, and you're here because of the murder that occurred on Ronald Greene in May of 2019. Just a few weeks later, my client Aaron Bowman was also a victim. He was beaten over and over again by Louisiana State Police and other agencies, literally a few weeks later by the same troop. Aaron suffered the same torture, and as so many others have. We've preached the need for transparency, accountability, and now we are experiencing exposure. So this infernal and seemingly eternal inability to treat these victims like their lives have meaning and value has to end. I'm tired of having the unanswered questions for my client, as I'm sure the Greene family are as well. When I have to witness the trauma in Aaron's eyes daily, constantly, having to encourage him when he's wondering why have we not received true justice in this case? Why has not Ronald Greene received any justice? As so many others. And I know for Aaron, the notions of transparency have seemed to be a delusive light of hope many, many times again, but we continue to fight. If this does not connect the dots, when we have a murder by Louisiana State Troopers, and then weeks later we have this beating where Aaron could have also lost his life, I don't know what else will. I mean, what we're seeing here is this culture, this history, and this flagrant behavior by officers continuing on for not days, not months, but years. Multiple opportunities have presented themselves to correct and rectify the situation, this problem. So on behalf of Aaron Bowman, in support also of the Ronald Greene family, we pray that even more is revealed daily until something happens, until this behavior ends. I hope that Louisiana State Police serve as an example to all law enforcement in the nation, in this world, that you may commit these acts, these horrendous actions. You might even cover it up, but you certainly can't hide. And well, in these cases, not for too long. So we're continually fighting for justice in support of Ronald Greene. And on behalf of Aaron Bowman, we are going to continue to push until something happens. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Molly. Attorney Greenhouse.
Good morning, Attorney Ashley Greenhouse of Haley and Associates, also co-counsel for Mr. Aaron Bowman. We won't shut up. We won't shut up. We won't shut up. Aaron Bowman was beat in the head 18 times in 24 seconds after they violently pulled him out of his vehicle. And of course, how the story goes, far too often, there's a lie, there's a cover-up. And we look at the bad actor in this particular case, former trooper, now defendant Brown, He had a history of being violent, being savage. They note that there were 23 uses of force incidents with him, 19 of them involving Black folk. Who is policing the police? We keep asking that question. Mr. Bowman, although he is scarred forever, permanently, physically, and mentally, emotionally, he's one of the lucky ones. He's here to tell his story. He's alive. Far too often, these cases don't end like that. Far too often, we never get to meet the victim because it ends with a dead man. We're left with a dead man and a system empowering badge perpetrators to create false narratives, to conceal evidence, and to continue to plague our communities. And as a result, our communities have no confidence in the system that's supposed to be here to protect and serve. And the communities are gonna start to respond as they will. We've put community leaders and local elected officials in a position where they have no power. They leave their communities that trust them, that elect them in these areas, and they have no power. You can't keep telling them that people they need more time. They don't believe you anymore. So what do we need to do? We know what we need. We need legislative change, and we need it swiftly. We need safeguards in place by way of oversight, some just oversight of police conduct and legal criminal consequences when the bad actors don't serve our community well. Additionally, I think we don't talk about this enough. It's time to treat the victims with dignity and work to quickly resolve the civil cases that remain. You have our victims and the families of victims in the streets garnering support when they should be somewhere healing. So today I would like to leave us with that. We are going to continue to pursue justice for Mr. Bowman and support all victims of police brutality.
All right, thank you, Ms. Greenhouse. Now I introduce to you Judge Carlos Moore, who is the president of the National Bar Association. Judge Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. I'm here as the president of the National Bar Association on behalf of our 67,000 Black lawyers and judges across the United States and around the world. I say the gig is up, time is up, and we're calling for justice now. I have reviewed the emails, and it is apparent that the governor, the state of Louisiana's highest elected official, was very much involved in the cover-up that took place after Ronald Greene was tragically killed. And so this cannot continue to fester. It is time for action to be taken, and extreme action. I'm calling on behalf of the National Bar Association in my capacity as president on Governor John Bel Edwards to resign. He was complicit in the cover-up. His attorney knew and coordinated the cover-up along with other individuals in the Louisiana State Police, and they need to be held accountable. I don't care if you're a Republican, a Democrat, or independent. If you do wrong, you need to be held accountable, and Black lives should matter to all parties. And so we cannot just assume that Democrats will always do the right thing. The National Bar Association is nonpartisan. During my administration, we have appointed a critical response team to review cases like this and to shed the light of day on these cases. And so it is with dismay that we're calling on the governor to resign. We're also calling on the federal government, the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division, to immediately oversee the Louisiana State Police. I mean, they have shown time and time again they are not capable of policing themselves or handling their affairs as they should. They need to be overseen by the federal government, Department of Justice. And so we're calling for that. Our thoughts and prayers collectively from the National Bar Association remain with the Greene family, as well as to others that have been injured or killed in the state of Louisiana. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Moore. Next, we'll be hearing from our statewide president for the Louisiana NAACP statewide convention, President Michael McClanahan.
Good morning, all. I really appreciate the National Bar Association stepping in and helping and assisting in the way they can with this Ronald Greene murder, because truly it was a murder. It's going to take all of us to bring about change. Louisiana is one of those states that still holds on, that still held on to the 10-2 jury verdict until the Supreme Court says, no, you can no longer convict Black folks because you have 10 whites that say they're guilty. And so we want someone at some point in time in the state of Louisiana to go arrest those state troopers. No matter what the governor said, no matter what the Attorney General has said, no matter what the district attorney has said, no one has said, go and arrest those murderers. That's what they are. If the system works for one, it should work for us all. Go arrest those murderers. Let them hire lawyers. Let them make a bond. They shouldn't have a bond. Let them get their day in court. Right now, they're sitting at home or on desk duty, getting a check, going about fishing and doing what they do in their lives while this morning the friends and family of Ronald Greene are still set to mourn. That shouldn't happen nowhere, no way. And we're here. We're going to continue to fight for Ronald Greene, Aaron Bowman, and those others who have been beaten, brutalized, traumatized by this low-down Louisiana State Police system. And we will not stop until justice is had for everybody. We don't just mean no justice, no peace. We really mean no damn justice, no damn peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Next up, we're going to hear from former State Trooper, Mr. Carl Cavalier. Mr. Cavalier and his brave actions were a big reason that this case was brought to light. As a result of Mr. Cavalier's honesty, he was dismissed from the Louisiana State Troopers. Mr. Carl Cavalier.
Good morning and good afternoon to some. I don't want us to lose sight of the fact that state police is desperate. They've been desperate from my point of view. You know, before I spoke out, I can tell they were desperate, desperately trying to keep this thing swept under the rug and keep it undercover. As a part of the reason why, you know, I came out to the public and put the information out as I received it. I don't want us to lose sight of the fact that they're desperate and lose sight of the fact that they're trying to dodge a consent decree, which is very much needed. They need oversight, consent decree. Obviously they can't police themselves anymore. You know, just the mere fact that them terminating me, you know, just shows how desperate they are and the reasons behind them terminating me. You know, I think that's obvious, but I'm excited that the public get to see what I've been preaching and trying to holler to the top of my lungs this whole time. I just hope that this case takes off now and more momentum get pushed behind this case. I want to say that I'm disappointed in, very bluntly, a few members of the Black Caucus for jumping out in front of John Bell Edwards and trying to save him, per se. I'm really bothered by that. I'm also bothered by the fact that within those text messages we just recently seen, the U.S. Attorney communicating with the governor's office as if, you know, the governor runs, he's the supervisor or the head of the U.S. attorneys. You know, that bothers me and that makes me wonder, you know, what is going to happen with this case? What is going to happen? How hard are they going to actually work to investigate this case? You know, it just concerns me. But I think that those points are the main things. I just don't want us to lose sight of the desperation of state police to dodge a consent decree, and I want us to continue pushing and working towards justice for this case, and Miss Mona Harden, her family, and Ronald Greene as well.
Thank you, Mr. Cavalier, and again, thank you for your service in all of this. Now I have the distinct pleasure of introducing to you the family of Mr. Ronald Greene. And I think it was only befitting that we let Ms. Mona, the mother of Ronald Greene, lead off this conversation, but then her daughters are accompanying her as well, Ms. Danelle Harden, as well as Ms. Lana Wilson. So Ms. Mona, we're gonna go ahead and yield the floor to you and your family.
Thank you, sir. I want to take this opportunity to just let everyone know how grateful and thankful my family is to have come this far and to be able to step up and speak on this level. It's a shame we had to struggle to be heard, but it's a good thing. And I must say that when we first heard of Ronnie dying and that it was death by a car wreck, we were prepared to bring him home, go to Louisiana, bring him home. But it was almost immediately after that we saw it was a total different story. The fact that the corruption and everything happened on the level that it did. I said earlier, all in God's time. It's with the dignity and the muscle of everyone here. Carl Cavalier, Al Paxton, all the other whistleblowers out there. We would not. It's with the help of these angels, these warriors, that we were able to come to this point. For anyone with any kind of dignity, please continue to do so. This consent decree is something that has to be. It doesn't stop with Ronnie. It has to remain in the state of Louisiana because they've proven way before Ronnie, there's no integrity within the state troop. And the network of evil, this organized crime that's been going on for generations, far too long, this consent decree needs to remain. Mind you, everyone here, the families, there's so many that needs to be heard. I come with a heavy heart because my son was sent to me. I was forced to cremate my son. And he came in this box here. And I've not been able to bury my son because ever since we heard of Ronnie's death, it's been an investigation that me and my children have been doing. We've been pursuing this. My son hasn't had a proper burial. We've been totally focused on this evil, this nightmare that we've been trekking through, this muck that truly is, it's a physical evil that we live day to day. But we will overcome it. I know that. My son is forever with us. All I can say is, for those that's been in denial, those who had their hands on my son, who without care, you literally beat and tortured my son to death, and you took pleasure in it without a blink of the eye, without caring, no human emotion, except the fact that you wanted to wash your hands of his blood. I go back and I can't help but hear my son screaming, to know that my son knew he wasn't going to walk away. That weighs heavy on me. The fact that I wasn't allowed to have my son embalmed so I could take him back with me to Florida, that weighs heavy on me. For whatever reason, the first attempt was made, which we still don't know, to pull Ronnie over. He should have been able to see another day. You do what you have to do. These state troopers have been judge, jury, and executioner, and without a care in the world, because they knew Big Brother over them would take care. They wouldn't have to finish. All they had to do is write a narrative, and the top brass behind would clean up their mess. It's a shame, it's disgraceful, it's evil. I'm sickened, I'm disgusted with the governor and all those over him. And when I say over him, the network reaches far out of Louisiana. The fact that we couldn't even get national coverage for so long, it speaks volume on who all else is trying to hush up and trying to protect Governor Bell Edwards, D.A. Belton. The list goes on and on and on. I'm sickened, I'm disgusted. that I was in the presence of so many who knew this was wrong, but was able to go home and go to bed, going on 3 years, and live their lives with their families, and let me and my family suffer. I'm sickened. I'm so damn pissed. I'm so angry behind every level that the state of Louisiana, the governor, and all them that runs around him, you're okay with letting my family suffer. But we're not. We're at this point. I know changes will happen because everyone wants to see Louisiana shine. If it ever was a time when they shine, because we're talking about generations of this police brutality in so many communities of color. Louisiana is not the only state. It goes far out. And it's gone on since the beginning of time. It's shameful, it's disgusting. And everyone here who has a platform, who's always had the platform, you need to get out of your comfort zone and you need to make things happen as it should be. Edwards, Belton, all these state troopers, all these top brass, none of you are above the law. You lived a really comfortable life to where you were okay with the narrative you wanted to spin on my son's murder. But you're not above the law. We've come to this point and we will get results. I have no doubt. My son will have his proper burial. I have no doubt. My family will never rest because my son was murdered by Louisiana state troopers, and it was condoned by all of them around him. But at some day we might be able to sit back. I don't even understand that word. There's no comfort in this. There is no comfort in this. We'll take the murder of my son to our graves. There's no comfort in this because there's so many more. And those who have it within them, you have to do the only right thing. There's no more narrative in this except the justice for this murder of my son. I thank you all.
Ms. Mona, thank you. Next up, we're going to go to your daughter, Mr. Neil Harden.
Good morning. Thanks to everyone that's on this call. I appreciate it. I just want to say that losing my brother, Ronald Greene, has been one of the most traumatic experiences that my family and I have experienced. Like losing him to police brutality in this manner has been so painful. It's just been painful since day one. You know, when we first got the call saying that Ron was in a car accident, I was in total denial. But it wasn't until we got to view his body. Well, we didn't get a chance to view his body, but we can only see him neck up. And one could tell from the cuts that were on his scalp, the scalp of his head, the bruises on his face. You can tell that there was more to the story. We can tell that there was more to the story, so we began taking notes, trying to dig for more details, and no one would cooperate with us. from the coroners, the sheriff's office, the funeral director, even the staff in the medical center. Nobody would give us answers. We had to dig. We kept going back, hoping that they would tell us more. But again, upon seeing my brother's face, we knew that there was more to Ron's story. And so finally, in October of 2020, we finally got to meet with the governor. And that's where we were able to view the video. Seeing the very last minutes of my brother alive, screaming, yelling for his life, stating, "I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm sorry, I'm your brother." After watching the video, that explained why no one would cooperate with us. They didn't cooperate with us because the state police killed my brother. Everyone knew about Ronald's death, including Governor John Bel Edwards. And so now that we're past 2.5 years, now he wants to speak out. But Governor Edwards, he's not speaking out because he cares about our family. He's only speaking out to save his face, his legacy. That's the only reason why he's speaking out, because he's been exposed. Two and a half plus years is way too late for you to speak out and try to show some concern. It's too late. It's too late, Governor. Governor Edwards, it is way too late. The blood of Ronald Greene is stained on your hands as well. It's way too late. So I am demanding that he resign from his position, and also that criminal charges be filed. Every person that was on the scene when my brother took his last breath, from the police officers, the captain, the volunteers, the detective from Union Parish, you need to be arrested and charged. And not only that, Carl Cavalier, he deserves his job back. He is standing up for what is right. He lost his career for just being a man of integrity, honesty. Carl Cavalier deserves to be working. I just pray and I hope that when this is all done and over with, that Ronald Greene's case will set the precedents and they will stop killing us, and that they would treat us as if, like humans. I'm sorry. We just need to be treated with respect and not overlooked. Enough is enough. Change is coming to Louisiana, and I'm done.
Thank you, Ms. Donnell. Now I call up on your sister, the sister of Mr. Ronald Greene, Ms. Alana Wilson.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for attending. In Governor Bill Edwards' live press conference, he stated that the actions that were committed was criminal, and he couldn't say if Ronald was a white man that this same act would have happened. So, with that being said, what are you going to do about it? You have texts, you have video, you have confessions, and you have pictures of the wrongdoings of your state troopers. Today marks 2 years and 9 months. And someone had to beg you to get up there and say something about it. You continue to lie, said you believe that he died from a car accident, and then you spent it. So the question for my family is, who can we trust in the state of Louisiana? No one. No one is the answer. My prayers and heart goes out to Carl Cavalier and Albert Paxton, who decided enough is enough, because I know that they've seen more than just the death of my brother, Ronald Greene. So we ask for you to put in your letter of resignation, just like the other cowards who you allow to put in their resignation. How can you let employees murder a man? Take the race out of it. You're continuing to murder day after day after day, and you classify it as a car accident, and you want us to sit on our hands? You completely dismembered our entire family. We're hardened by the situation. We're hurt. We're saddened by a system that you think is the great state of Louisiana. Really? You have a badge, and you take that badge, you send out texts talking about how you run Black men down, you kill them. This has been embedded in us when I was a young girl from the age of 6 to 12. This is what the state of Louisiana does. Well, you know what? That's going to stop. And me and my family, we're going to continue to be there for the other families that you guys continue to do this to. And we're not going to stop until we get justice. Like Donnell said, enough is enough. Prayerfully, Ronald's hands will be the last one on your hands. His blood will be the last one on your hands. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Alana. Now you've heard from all the parties on the press conference today, as well as the members of the Greene family. And now we're going to open this presser up to questions. And I'm going to start off with Mr. Austin Kemper, who's listed first on my right here. Mr. Austin Kemper, do you have any questions?
Thanks, Eugene. To the family, which law enforcement agency first notified of your son's death? Was it a sheriff's office? Was it LSP? Who was the first that notified you? And what exactly did they tell you about in that initial contact about how he died?
Louisiana State Trooper reached out to me. They told me that Ronald died from a car accident. He hit a tree and he went through the windshield and he died upon impact.
And just a quick follow-up, do you remember the name of the officer or who exactly told you that he had hit the tree?
I don't remember off top, but I do have it.
Okay.
Mr. Kemker has concluded his questions. Are there any other questions from the press that are here today?
Hello, this is Jasmine Anderson from KNOE in Monroe.
Yes, ma'am.
Upon seeing the text messages released from a public records request detailing how much people were discussing Mr. Greene's death and his case, can you talk to me about, just tell me, what does that mean moving forward for you as a family, knowing that this was a completely different story that you were told in the beginning, and now you're literally seeing this unplay just as you suspected in 2019?
For me, seeing all these texts and the conversations around it, it was uplifting. I had chills all over me for the fact that you're looking for the exposure. You're looking for someone to come forward and make this happen, because it's like we were yelling to deaf ears. No one would pay attention. Just knowing that the conversation has started, it re-energizes us. Just knowing that there's commotion going on in the background and they can't continue to bury this. This is the murder of a man. And Louisiana need to disassemble from the top down. They can't continue to investigate their own. That's what it tells me, that this has got totally out of control, this organized crime. I'm just glad that it's happening now. And I hope that the dust never settles. We need to keep moving.
What did it struck me as, it just completely struck me to see that the governor's office offered to fly in District Attorney Belton in on a helicopter. And then he also said, I'll speak to the governor prior to, let me know, Governor Edwards, if it's okay if I speak to the family. It's how does that make you feel? What does that mean to you?
For me, when I first saw Belton, it was when we saw the video of Ronnie. And all he could do was speak of the accolades. What he did is who he is as a person, his character. He was done from that day forward. He was done. Just knowing that I'm talking to folks who knew more, but they're willing to sit in front of me and my daughters and continue this lie. There's so many words that come to mind that describes this overpaid state employee who does nothing for the state of Louisiana, I'm sorry. They're willing to continue this. It's an evil corruption. And for the fact that I've been face to face with several of them, there's no words for it. In this day and this time, I literally shared space with public servants that are okay with the murder of a man and will lie to no extent to cover it up. They'll go around and support Edwards and whoever else they have to, just to save their own necks. It says a lot. A man's integrity says a lot, or a woman's integrity says a lot.
And I have
but his introduction of himself, as far as I'm concerned, it nailed who he was. That very first few minutes I spoke with him.
Thank you. I'm so sorry.
Mom, and can I say this?
Please.
The sad part is they continue to treat us like we're the perpetrator. Shame on them for coming into our faces to say, okay, if you need anything, let me know. You know, I'm here for you. When all the while, you're just part of the cover up. It's just ridiculous. Shame on all of it.
There's no shame. Yes.
My last question, it literally brings me to tears to see your son's cremains. Can you talk to me about why it was important for you to display them today?
Because when my son we first heard that Ronnie was in a car accident, we thought we'd bring him home. We thought that we as a family could rally around him. My son had cancer. We thought cancer would take him away from us. I need to show the intimidation. The fact that I went there to get my son and he was returned to us. The intimidation, the organized crime, the heaviness that these state troopers have, it falls over to so many entities. The mortuary that had my Ronnie's body, he wouldn't allow us to see Ronnie. We saw Ronnie just up to here. I wanted to identify him by his tattoos. We couldn't see anything. He wouldn't allow us, regardless of what he said. He told us Ronnie had that Y incision, and I could have cared less. That was my son. I literally begged him, I don't care. He denied me the right to see my son. They denied me the right to see him taken to a crematory so that I could make sure that he was embalmed. We weren't allowed anything. And in the end, I had to leave Louisiana. That hurts me the worst. He was killed there, and then he was cremated. When it's something that was not supposed to happen. We were there to bring him back. The fact that we were told we weren't allowed, no one would even embalm him to bring him home so that we could bring him home. We called around. He told us we had to get Ronnie off of his property because Ronnie was basically, his employees were complaining of the stench. And we had to rush. And this was a week after Ronnie was there. And we were told that Ronnie was going to be in another facility where he would be kept in refrigeration. And he didn't do that. We had a time frame to get him off his property, and no other funeral home would take my son to embalm him. We were even told that Shreveport coroner's office, they were full. They couldn't take my boy. And we were left with cremation, which is what the director of that funeral home was pushing us to do from the very beginning, which is something we did not want to do because we had a second autopsy done a week after Ronnie was killed. This is a reminder of what we had to go through. I had to show this. It's heavy. I want the whole world to see what troopers did to my son. I want the whole world to see that video. It's awful to see, but this is what's happening. This is what's happening in our United States of America, and overlooked to the point that I had to cremate my son. No one would even embalm him because of intimidation. of what happens in Louisiana, the state troopers. I was told that. And I had to show this is what we were enduring every second of the day. And it's heavy.
Heavy in more ways than one. I thank you, Ms. Harden, and I thank you to the Greene family.
Thank you, Ms. Howell. Are there any other questions from the members of the media that are on this line today?
This is Tammy Fields from Spectrum News 13 out of Orlando. I would like to ask the family one question, and this question for you, Ms. Mona. If you had an opportunity to tell the governor anything, what would you say?
I'm disgusted that you were allowed to hold the office of governor. You have no integrity as a person, as a man. What controls you to where this is your narrative of who you are, in spite of the fact that you blatantly lied? You told us there's nothing in your character to make you say those things, to make you get in the way of an investigation. And look at where we are now. What do I say to an evil person such as you and all those around you? There are no words. I'm disgusted, I'm ashamed, and you need to be locked up with the rest of them. That's what I say.
Any other questions from any members of the media that are on this line today? All right, one final call. Any other questions for any members of the media that's on this line today? All right, seeing none, is there anything you would like to say before we close out, Ms. Mona?
I do.
Yes, ma'am.
I want the governor. I want Belton. I want all of you. My family told me, Mom, don't let this evil overtake you. You wouldn't accept your child being put, cremated, and sent FedEx to you due to a murder. How in the hell do you think we're going to accept it? You say it hurt you? No, you're nothing but a damn liar, every one of you. This is my child here. And it was condoned by all of you in Louisiana and whoever else is connected to this organized crime. This is my Ronnie here. And you allowed this to happen. Going into 3 years. I'm disgusted with the whole bunch. And I pray to God, the consent decree, everything that should be done moving forward, because the folks in Louisiana need to be able to walk the streets. They should be able to allow their children to be out in playgrounds and not worry about what's going to happen to them. Will they come home? Can I go out for a bag of groceries and not be pulled over? This biased, racist that you condoned, I pray to God, this brings a change. I thank you all. I do thank you all.
Thank you, Ms. Mona. Is there anything you, Alana, or you, Danelle, would like to say before we close out?
I'd just like to thank everyone. I'd like to thank you, Eugene, for setting this up, Donicia, Ashley, the National Bar Association for showing up. I really appreciate everyone. Carl, thank you for your time. I'm just so honored. I thank you guys.
Ms. Alana?
I just want to say that they really took a soldier before his time. And as he was pleading for his life, he stated, "I'm your brother." And even in his death, I know he's saying, "I forgive you. You're my brother." And that's one thing. My brother was very compassionate. He loved everyone, as you can see that in his death. So I want to say, for those cowards who decided to leave the scene a little bit too soon, just know we're not giving up. We're coming for you. And your time will come. You can run, but you can't hide, because Judgment Day is coming. Thank you.
I have to say, please.
Yes, ma'am.
I have to say, until, if there's even another day when state troopers can walk the face of the earth, unless an assembly is put together with men like Carl Cavalier and Albert Paxton, unless you pick people with integrity to run such a high entity, to patrol the streets, you're not going to have integrity across the board, unless it starts with those men that have character, like Carl, Albert Paxton, Jeremiah Harden, and all those who want to come forward. That's when you'll start having a state troop with integrity that you can trust across the board. It starts from within and from on top. I thank you all. And I thank you, Carl, Al, Jeremiah, everyone here. Thank you so much for my Ronnie. I know we're going to get answers. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mona. And thank you to all the members of the panel today, as well as all the members of the press that took this time out to share this with us. And I echo the sentiments of everybody, and show our deep gratitude for Mr. Carl Cavalier, who again gave up his career. And one of the field troopers that are probably going to lose their careers for making sure that this case got heard. So thank you all for your time today. We appreciate it.